So, how does deja vu work? At some point in your life, this has happened. You're walking into a room, a completely normal room, people talking, a chair slightly out of place, someone saying something completely forgettable, and then your brain freezes, not physically, just internally. Because suddenly everything feels rehearsed, like you've already been here. Not vaguely, not this reminds me of something. No, this is specific. This exact moment, this exact sentence, this exact angle of light. And for a few seconds, your brain becomes unreasonably confident about something it cannot prove. This already happened. Which is a bold claim, because if that's true, then either time is looping or your brain just fabricated a memory in real time and decided to trust it. And neither option is particularly comforting. The experience itself is weirdly precise. It's not just recognition, it's prediction. For a brief moment, it feels like you know what's about to happen next. Someone shifts in their seat, a word lands exactly where you expected it to, and your brain goes, "See, I told you." Except it didn't tell you, it just feels like it did. And then, just as you're about to investigate, test it, push it, maybe unlock whatever secret level of reality this is, it ends. Gone. Like a notification you couldn't read in time. Deja vu doesn't stick around. It doesn't explain itself. It shows up, creates existential confusion, and then leaves you standing there like you just remembered a dream incorrectly. And that's the frustrating part. Because if it lasted longer, you could do something about it. You could verify it, predict something meaningful, turn it into a superpower. But no, it lasts just long enough to be convincing and not long enough to be useful, which is suspicious behavior. So what's actually happening? Because despite how it feels, deja vu is not your brain accessing a hidden archive of past lives or previewing alternate timelines. It's doing something far less cinematic and somehow more unsettling. It's making a mistake, a very specific, very confident type of mistake. Your brain is constantly processing reality in layers, visual information, sounds, spatial awareness, emotional context, all arriving at slightly different times, getting sorted and assembled into what feels like a smooth, continuous now. Most of the time, the edit is seamless. You don't notice the cuts, but occasionally, something slips. A tiny delay, a misfire, a fraction of a second where one part of the system gets ahead of the others. And in that moment, something unusual happens. The present gets processed as if it's the past. Not because it is, but because it arrived in the wrong order. One theory suggests that the information coming in, what you're seeing, hearing, experiencing, gets accidentally routed through the part of your brain responsible for memory before it's fully registered as a current event. So instead of going, "This is happening now," your brain goes, "This already happened." Same data, wrong label. And your brain, being extremely confident and only occasionally correct, commits to it immediately. No double checking. Just, yes, I said it and I trust it. Which is fascinating because your brain is usually very careful about separating past from present. That's kind of its whole thing. Without that distinction, everything would feel like a replay. But in deja vu, that boundary blurs. For a few seconds, the system that tells you this is new and the system that tells you this is remembered overlap, and you get both signals at once, which feels illegal, like watching a live event with a previously on recap playing over it at the same time. And because your brain hates unsolved patterns, it starts trying to make sense of it. It fills in gaps. It retroactively builds a memory to justify the feeling. Alright, this part comes next. Except it doesn't. You're not recalling anything. You're improvising a memory to match a sensation. That's why it fades so quickly, because there's nothing real to sustain it, no actual stored memory, just a moment that got mislabeled and then quietly corrected. But for those few seconds, it feels convincing, unreasonably convincing. And that's the part that gets people, because humans trust memory, not perfectly, but enough. Enough to build identities on it, make decisions based on it, argue about it. So when something feels like a memory, even if it isn't, you treat it seriously. Which is why deja vu doesn't feel like imagination. It feels like recognition. And your brain does not like being wrong about recognition. So instead of saying, "This is probably a glitch," it goes, this must mean something. Which is how you end up with explanations like past lives, parallel universes, or reality buffering like a slow internet connection. Because your brain misfired for half a second feels underwhelming, but also more concerning. Because it means your experience of reality isn't as direct as it feels. It's constructed carefully, continuously, and most of the time accurately, but not perfectly. And déjà vu is what happens when you catch the construction mid-process, when the illusion of seamless experience slips just enough for you to notice. It's not reality repeating, it's your perception repeating itself, slightly out of sync. And the reason it feels so intense is because it targets something fundamental, your sense of now. That quiet assumption that this moment is new, unfolding, happening for the first time. Déjà vu interrupts that. It takes the present and quietly stamps it with already seen, even though it hasn't been. And for a second, you're stuck between two timelines, the one you're experiencing and the one your brain insists you remember. So how does déjà vu work? It's not a message, not a prediction, not a hidden layer of reality revealing itself. It's a timing error, a moment that arrives correctly but gets filed incorrectly. Your brain recognizing something that isn't a memory and treating it like one anyway, and then, just as quickly, correcting itself. Moving on, pretending nothing happened, leaving you with that lingering, uncomfortable question. If your brain can make the present feel like the past, then how much of right now is actually happening? And how much of it is just your brain doing a very convincing job of telling you it is?